The morning of June 6, 1944, is etched into history as D-Day, the moment Allied forces stormed the beaches of Normandy. But there was another invasion happening simultaneously, one without bullets or bloodshed, fought not on French beaches, but in the shadowy corridors of Swiss banks and the printing presses of a Nazi concentration camp. The most important D-Day invasion didn't involve soldiers. It was an invasion of fake money. This is the story of how financial weapons became as crucial as tanks and bombers in determining the outcome of the Second World War. Deep in the Austrian Alps at Sachsenhausen concentration camp, a remarkable crime was unfolding. Jewish prisoners with backgrounds in printing, engraving, and banking weren't building weapons or digging trenches. Instead, they sat at the tables covered with magnifying glasses, engraving plates, and sheets of what appeared to be British pound notes. This was Operation Bernhard, perhaps the most audacious economic warfare scheme ever conceived. The Nazi plan was brilliantly simple and devastatingly dangerous. Flood Britain with millions of perfectly forged pound notes, triggering hyperinflation and destroying the British economy from within. The operation bore the name of SS Major Bernhard Krüger, though the scheme originated at the highest levels of Nazi leadership. By 1943, the prisoners had perfected their craft to an extraordinary degree. These weren't crude forgeries that would be spotted immediately. The notes they produced were so flawless that even Bank of England experts couldn't distinguish them from genuine currency. The watermarks were perfect. The paper quality was identical. The serial numbers followed legitimate sequences. Nazi agents began distributing these notes through neutral countries, using them to purchase genuine war materials and convert the fake currency into real assets. The implications were staggering. Currency, unlike gold or commodities, derives its value from trust. If people lose faith in their money, the entire economic system collapses. The Weimar Republic's hyperinflation of the early 1920s remained a fresh memory. German citizens had watched their life savings become worthless as currency lost all value. The Nazis knew that weapon well. Now they planned to deploy it against their enemies. British intelligence estimates suggest that by 1945, Operation Bernhard had produced counterfeit notes worth over £130 million, equivalent to billions in today's currency. Had this flooding the British economy, the results could have been catastrophic, potentially crippling Britain's ability to finance its war effort. But while the Nazis wielded this paper weapon, the Allies were deploying a far more sophisticated financial arsenal, and it centered on an unlikely institution that still exists today, shrouded in mystery and controversy. The Bank for International Settlements, founded in Basel, Switzerland in 1930, was originally created to handle German reparations from World War I. By World War II, it had become something unprecedented, a central bank for central banks, a place where financial officials from warring nations could theoretically maintain dialogue even as their soldiers killed each other on battlefields. The BIS existed in a strange twilight zone during the war. Its board included representatives from both Allied and Axis nations. The American banker, Thomas McKittrick, served as president, while directors included representatives from Germany, Italy, Britain, and France. Officially, neutral Switzerland hosted this financial demilitarized zone, where bankers from enemy nations attended the same meetings, exchanged information, and processed transactions. To many observers, then and now, this seemed like collaboration with the enemy. How could Allied officials sit across tables from Nazi representatives while their countries were locked in total war? The answer lies in understanding how the Allies transformed this potential liability into their greatest intelligence asset. The BIS became a financial listening post, a place where Allied officials could track the movement of Nazi gold, monitor their foreign currency reserves, and understand the true state of the German war economy. Every transaction processed through Basel told a story. When Nazi Germany desperately sought to convert looted gold into hard currency, those transactions left traces. When German agents tried to access foreign currency reserves to purchase vital raw materials from neutral countries, the BIS became a choke point where these activities could be monitored and, crucially, disrupted. Gold was the key to everything. Unlike paper currency, gold maintained its value across borders, and through the chaos of war, the Nazis had looted massive quantities of gold from occupied countries, from national treasuries, private banks, and in the most horrific cases, from their victims in concentration camps. This gold needed to be converted into usable currency to purchase materials Germany lacked: tungsten from Portugal, iron ore from Sweden, oil from Romania. Switzerland, officially neutral but economically pragmatic, became the primary laundering point for this stolen wealth. But here's where the financial weapon proved its power. Allied intelligence services, working through the BIS and other channels, created a database tracking Nazi gold movements with unprecedented precision. They knew which gold bars came from which national treasuries based on metallurgical signatures and pre-war records. When Nazi agents attempted to sell this gold through Swiss banks, Allied pressure could be applied diplomatically. The United States, controlling much of the world's currency reserves and international banking relationships could threaten neutral countries with post-war economic isolation if they continued accepting looted Nazi gold. This financial warfare operated on multiple levels simultaneously. At the strategic level, the Allies worked to deny Germany access to foreign currency needed for purchasing war materials. Intelligence gathered through banking channels revealed Germany's desperate shortages, which materials they needed most urgently could be deduced from their purchasing patterns. This intelligence informed Allied bombing target selection and strategic planning. If German agents were frantically trying to purchase chromium, Allied planners knew that chromium supplies or chromium-dependent manufacturing must be a critical vulnerability. At the tactical level, the very existence of Operation Bernhard forced Britain to implement defensive measures that created unexpected advantages. When British intelligence learned of the counterfeiting operation, they couldn't simply announce it publicly without triggering exactly the panic the Nazis wanted. Instead, they quietly implemented new security features in currency, changed serial number systems, and established secret verification procedures for large transactions. Banks and financial institutions received confidential guidance on detecting the forgeries. This turned Operation Bernhard into a liability for the Nazis. Every time their agents tried to use the fake notes in large quantities, they risked exposure and arrest, limiting the operation's effectiveness. The financial war also extended into disrupting neutral trade relationships. Spain, Portugal, Sweden, and Turkey all maintained trade with Nazi Germany while professing neutrality. The Allies couldn't invade these countries without triggering diplomatic disasters and potentially pushing them towards the Axis, but they could wage economic warfare. American and British control over international banking systems allowed them to track payments, delay transactions, and create financial friction that made trading with Germany increasingly difficult and risky. Ships carrying goods to German ports might find their insurance cancelled. Companies selling to Germany discovered their access to American markets threatened. Bank accounts could be frozen based on evidence of trading with the enemy. Perhaps most remarkably, the Allied financial intelligence network penetrated deeply enough to understand Germany's resource situation better than some German officials. By tracking foreign currency expenditures and gold sales, Allied analysts could calculate how many months of oil reserves Germany possessed, how desperate their steel shortages had become, and which synthetic material programs were succeeding or failing. This was economic X-ray vision, seeing through propaganda and military. A deception to understand the true state of the Nazi war machine. The technology enabling this financial warfare was surprisingly advanced for the 1940s. International banking already relied on telegraphic transfers, coded messages, and complex bookkeeping that could track transactions across borders. The BIS operated sophisticated clearing systems that processed international payments while maintaining detailed records. Allied cryptographers, the same experts breaking German military codes, also intercepted and decoded financial communications between Nazi officials and their agents in neutral countries. Every intercepted message about gold shipments, currency purchases, or trade negotiations added pieces to the intelligence puzzle. By 1944, Germany's foreign currency reserves were exhausted, and Operation Bernhard had failed. The forgeries couldn't be distributed without detection. Allied financial warfare had strangled Germany's access to critical materials, crippling weapons production. While some looted Nazi gold remained hidden in Swiss banks for decades, the war proved a crucial truth. The invasion of fake money was defeated by superior financial intelligence. Wars are won not just with guns, but by denying enemies the money to buy bullets.